When India Today covers conflict, when we cover war, we believe in covering it from the ground, not just via agencies. So what you're about to watch is a world exclusive from India Today's cameras, not something acquired secondhand. These are pictures taken by India Today's Ashraf Wani live from the ground from the virtually destroyed headquarters, one part of it which you'll see in this report, of the Hezbollah headquarters near Beirut in Lebanon. It's not very far from here that Hassan Nasrallah was killed in an airstrike from Israel. Watch this world-exclusive report by my colleague Ashraf Wani.
I'm currently standing and am the first international journalist from India Today who is at the Hezbollah headquarters here in South Beirut. Behind me you can see this was the six-story building when Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, Secretary General of Hezbollah, was taking a meeting of his commanders in the basement, which was underground almost 15 feet below the ground, where he was taking that meeting. 2,000 pounds of bombs dropped on this building by the F-15 warplanes, which completely brought this building on ground. And after the efforts for 4 days, finally the body of and we would like to take some details from here of the Hezbollah leaders, what really happened here, and what happened after this blast, and what was its impact not only here but also in the periphery. In fact, since then there is regular airstrikes in this area, suburbs of Beirut, and today on Wednesday, 7 airstrikes were carried out by the IDF. Yesterday, a television station was targeted, its building compound was targeted, that collapsed in that attack, and today a communication tower has been targeted in this area, and we are facing the internet problems in this particular area here in the Beirut. Ashraf Wani for this World Exclusive on India Today.
An incredibly fearless reporting by India Today's Ashraf Wani. In fact, he joins me live from Beirut in Lebanon now. Ashraf, I hope you're staying safe. Your ground report from the bombed headquarters of the Hezbollah in that world exclusive is being watched by millions of people right now. Tell us in a greater detail, Ashraf, what you saw right now. How far from there was the site where Hassan Nasrallah was killed, and what did you see?
Shiv, we have also those pictures where Hassan Nasrallah was killed, probably that may be used later in the bulletin. Actually, this is not, this is a South Beirut. The major part of the Beirut city suburbs where most of the population and mostly the Shia population and the supporters as well as the fighters of Hezbollah live. For last 2 days, twice I went to that area, but in car. That also very fast because the area is still being pounded by the IDF bombs regularly. Not only yesterday, but even today, 7 strikes were carried out in the periphery of South Beirut, where some housing compartments were targeted, some floors of multi-stories buildings were targeted. And IDF said that they are the housing of the Hezbollah fighters and commanders. But here, some of the people say probably they may be associated with the Hezbollah, but they have not seen them fighting for the Hezbollah. That is the intelligence input what is with the Israel. But tense situation in whole South Beirut, not a single person is visible there from the civil population. If anyone is roaming there, those are only Hezbollah fighters and their supporters. Today, at that moment, we were at least with me 800 journalists across the globe who are covering this war. They were allowed first time to visit the South Beirut because journalists in other way not here to travel in that particular area because, as I said, today it was bombed 7 times. As far as the Hassan Nasrallah's hideout, or we can say Hezbollah headquarters is concerned, there is visible that there was an underground floor which was used by the Hezbollah commanders as well as the IRG guards for the meeting purposes and other purposes. That was built in that way that so that any bomb or any strike could not affect that. But when I equally 2 days back
Yes.
spoke a doctor, he said that the bomb used in this blast of the Hezbollah headquarters could penetrate 15 floors of a single building. So they were only 6 floors. So you can imagine that after collapsing or entering from those top 6 floors, that bomb has went deep 4 floors further and completely push up the basement of, or we can say the underground floor of that building.
Ashraf, how are the ground operations going? You know, you sent us reports of certain Hezbollah ambushes on Israeli army patrols. How is that working out?
Yes, that is the plus point with the Hezbollah. They are very much trained in the ground operations. They have in 2006 operated on ground. So it was a risky task for the IDF to invade into the South Lebanon, where already Hezbollah fighters and their commanders know each and every curve, each and every mountain. In fact, they have some underground bunkers and tunnels there in the South Lebanon. It is not easy task either for the special forces of Israel or for the regular army. Today, when one of the big contingents, we can say the regiment division of the army was preparing for the ground invasion in the northern border of Israel, which is with the South Lebanon, that was directly fired by the 60 missiles of Hezbollah within the 2 hours. And those all missiles, no missile from those could have been destroyed by the dome system because there is not on the border the dome system which IDF is using in the habitats. So that has put some damage in that army division. The Israeli army has confirmed 2 casualties, 2 deaths in that rocket attacks by the Hezbollah and 18 injuries. And also there is not population, civilian population. There are only soldiers of the Israeli army. So in the need of blood, the settlers who were there, they were asked to donate blood for the injured soldiers in that incident in northern Israel.
Ashraf, thank you very much for that live report. As always, please continue to stay safe and bring us these amazing, amazing ground reports that you're continuing to do. Thank you very much. Stay safe. We will connect with you again, once again, in a very short while from now. Thank you. Ashraf Wani reporting live from Beirut in Lebanon. He's been traveling in the other areas as well. These images have become a viral face of Iran's attack on Israel last night. They are seen as a tipping point. Hundreds of missiles raining hell on Israel, or at least trying to. They've become representative of perhaps the biggest escalation in this cycle of the violence so far. Take a look at what exactly these pictures meant, what exactly they signify, and what precisely was happening as people in their thousands pulled out their mobile phones to record videos like this. Watch this.
Like fireworks in a night sky, salvos of Iranian ballistic missiles painting a surreal canvas in the dark airspace over Israel. Missiles in their hundreds soaring into the air, each dot of light representing thruster planes, propelling a warhead towards a target. Images that have viral around the world, becoming the face of this latest escalation in a crisis that's just shy of a year old. Iran, which has large arsenals of ballistic missiles, had held back from any direct attack until the night of October 1st, when dozens of these missiles, Imad, Ghadar and Fatah-2 missiles, attempted to hit multiple targets across the country. The attack even involved the first use of a hypersonic version of Iran's Fatah-2 missile. Iran claimed that these streaks of light hit most of their targets. with Iranian reports even suggesting that the missiles managed to destroy large numbers of Israeli combat aircraft. A claim not proven with evidence thus far. The haunting lights in the darkness, a message to Israel from Iran. A message that Iran not only has the ability to strike, but the ability to strike specific targets. Israel's air defense systems, including the Iron Dome, did manage to intercept several of the incoming missiles. With almost certain help from United States air defense assets situated in the Mediterranean and the Red Sea. But the sheer number of missiles launched together meant that at least some of the missiles managed to evade interception and hit their targets. The unending stream of imagery of the missiles in flight painted across the night sky won't be forgotten soon and will thicken the clouds that now darken between the two countries. Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, most of those missiles did get intercepted by Israel's world-famous advanced air defense systems. But some of those missiles most definitely did impact their targets in Israel. Let's take a look at some of those that we appear to be certain about. This has been put together by India Today's open source intelligence team. One missile strike near the Mossad headquarters, even though no damage to the Mossad headquarters itself in Tel Aviv. One near a school in the town of Gedera. Some missiles appeared to be hitting in or around the Nevatim airbase, which houses Israel's F-35 stealth fighters. This is in the Negev desert in the south, but once again, no confirmation on any damage. Israel says categorically nothing has been destroyed. The Ayalon Mall in Tel Aviv, there appear to have been some missiles hitting areas near that. Near the Ort Tel Nof base in central Israel also saw some missile hits, but once again, Israel has denied that any damage whatsoever was caused. Now, remember that Israel has a multi-tiered air defense system that you saw in these pictures intercepting many of those missiles. Iran has made the dramatic claim that at least 3 air bases were targeted, with a large amount of destruction actually taking place on the ground. It's become a war of claim versus counterclaim between the two sides. Take a look at this report.
Iran's fearsome attack on Israel, with missiles flames lighting up the night sky. Iran rained at least 200 ballistic missiles across Israel on Tuesday night, while some were intercepted by the famed Iron Dome system. Some did hit targets. The Iran Revolutionary Guards claimed that its missile attack on Israel's targeted 3 military bases near Tel Aviv: Nevatim, Hatzerim and Tel Nof. Tehran Times, Iranian state-backed media, reported that Israel's Nevatim air base was targeted in the attack. The base reportedly houses Israel's F-35 fighter jets. The fighter jets that bombarded Beirut on September 27 flew from this military airbase. The IRG has also said that F-35 and F-15 fighter jets that were used in assassination of Hassan Nasrallah were also targeted. Iran also claims that the Mossad headquarters was targeted in precise strikes. India Today's open source intelligence team has gathered visual proof of confirmed hits on Israel near Mossad headquarters, near a school in Gedera, Nevatim Air Base, Ayalon Mall in Tel Aviv, and near Tel Nof Air Base. Israel, however, claims that the attack did not impact the capacity of its armed forces.
As we can see, a few hits with no casualties because of the responsible behavior of the public, them listening to instructions and the operating of our defense systems, as well as the activity of our partners for the protection of the citizens of Israel. We will continue to conduct ourselves in this way, both in offense and in defense.
Israel has declared that it will now respond at the time and place of its choosing. Till then, the world remains on edge. Bureau Report, India Today.
So what are Israel's response options? Israel has to respond. It said it will do so at a time and place of its choosing. But what precisely could be the possible scenarios? What could Israel really attack in Iran? Let's take you through what those scenarios are. And these are taking into view reality, possibility, and also what could be credible targets for Israel. Scenario number one, airstrikes could take place on high-value targets like Iran's Tar Allah headquarters. That's the command center that takes care of the security of Iran's capital of Tehran. Scenario number two, possibility number two, there could be airstrikes on Iran's many underground missile facilities from where some of these missile attacks may have actually taken place. These include Khorramabad, Kenesht or Panchpele. There are many others as well. I'm just taking a few names. Scenario number three, targets number three, missile strikes on Iranian air bases like the ones targeted in Israel. Iranian air bases could also be targeted like places like Isfahan, Kermanshah or Masjid Soleiman. You know, these are air bases that house Iran's frontline fighter aircraft of American and Russian origin. Scenario number four, Israeli airstrikes, very importantly, on Iran's many nuclear facilities. Remember, Iran is a nuclear-armed country. It has nuclear facilities as well in places like Arak, Ardakan, Bonab, and Lavizan. There are many others. These could all be struck in airstrikes should there be some kind of an escalation. Scenario number five, a targeted covert assassination of Iranian politicians could happen in Iran or in other countries during diplomatic visits. Mossad assassinations have been known to happen. This could be one way of conveying a message to Iran. And finally, scenario number six, Mossad covert killings of Iranian officials, diplomats, or intelligence officers in other countries. Finally, escalated targeting of Iranian assets in places like Yemen, in Gaza, in Lebanon, or even in Syria could be at least a near-term, low-risk response from Israel at this point of time. Here's a detailed report taking you through this 360-degree view of response possibilities.
Ballistic missiles tearing through the night sky. West Asia is in turmoil as nearly 200 missiles were fired by Iran into Israel. Iran's ballistic missile attack on Israel has caused significant damage, claims the Iran Revolutionary Guards. Operation True Promise 2 targeted three key Israeli air bases, namely Nevatim, Hatzerim and Tel Nof. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard stated that F-35 and F-15 fighter jets used in the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah were targeted. Iran also claimed that the Mossad headquarters was targeted in the precision strikes. The big question now is, how will Israel respond to attacks by Iran? Scenario 1. Israel may strike high-value targets like Iran's Tar Allah headquarters and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard command. Scenario 2. Israel could carry out airstrikes on Iran's underground missile bases. Scenario 3. Israel may carry out missile strikes on Iranian air bases. Scenario 4. Airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Scenario 5. Targeted covert assassination of Iranian politicians. Scenario 6. Mossad covert killings of Iranian diplomats or intel officers abroad. And lastly, Scenario 7. Israel could target Iranian assets in Lebanon, Yemen and Syria. As tensions in the Middle East escalate, global concerns grow with World War III warnings from Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. The US has deployed additional troops and more fighter jets to the Middle East as an attempt to mitigate the conflict between Israel and Iran's proxies from becoming a regional war. Bureau Report, India Today.